WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
That investigation continues tonight in Noxubee County after a woman's body was found near Butler Road in Moshuleville Tuesday evening.
Her body was discovered in a deep ditch off the side of the road. Our Jory Talley joins us live from Noxubee County with more on this ongoing investigation.
After several hours of working in a heavily wooded area, investigators recovered the body around 11 this morning. Once they got the right equipment, it didn't take long for them to retrieve the body. Noxubee County Sheriff Terry Grassery says a call from the Choctaw Tribal Police Department in Philadelphia led investigators to the woman's body off of Butler Road in Moshuleville.
We came on the scene, as you know, in a wooded shallow area this way, and you can see some remains from a distance, but you just can't really kind of make out what it is, but we knew that you could see some remains.
Noxubee County Coroner R.L. Calhoun and investigators believe the body could be this woman, 30-year-old Nikita Nicole Wilson. She was reported missing in July. Calhoun says her body is in an advanced stage of decomposition.
That's why we have to do the DNA to make a positive identification. Right now, I'm at a standstill. I really can't say it's her. You know, right now it just appeared, that's the only motive we have, it might be her.
The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, Mississippi Crime Lab, the Noxubee County Sheriff's Department, and the Choctaw Police Department are working this case, trying to figure out how the victim wound up here.
Something, either foul play was done to her somewhere else and brought here, or she was brought here and then foul play was done. And it is our job at this point to find out which one that, right now it's dual jurisdiction, and we're going to see whether it stays that way or whether it comes back to one jurisdiction.
The agencies are also working with the FBI.
It started out tribal, and then it comes to Noxubee, and of course you're talking about two sovereignties, am I correct? And that's why.
Investigators are wasting no time trying to find the killer or killers.
We got two possible suspects that we're looking at right now. Of course, we're not giving our names right now until we get something concrete. We just right now trying to get the information, get all the evidence, and get all the right people involved to get this situation handled so we don't make a mistake with it.
The body has been sent to Pearl for an autopsy. We will continue following this story and bringing you updates as they unfold. Reporting live in Noxubee County, Jory Talley, WCBI News.
All right, Jory, thanks so much for that update. A scare at Nettleton High School after the campus was placed on lockdown. A gun was found on campus.
Lee County Sheriff Jim Johnson says several deputies went to campus about 9 this morning when they got an anonymous tip about a weapon being on school grounds. During their search, a loaded handgun was found inside a backpack. As deputies started to interview students about the incident, Johnson says LaBryant Finney left the campus. The 16-year-old who was reported as a runaway has been located and is safe.
We quickly retrieved it. It was never in the hands of any student at any time that we know of. It never was at a point that it endangered kids' lives as far as someone pointing it or somebody firing it, but it was on campus. And so we took possession of the backpack as well as the weapon that was inside. It is now in evidence here at the Sheriff's Department. We got it off campus.
Because the person accused of bringing the gun on campus is a juvenile, his name can't be released. The school resumed normal operations after the gun was seized.
A man accused in a downtown Columbus shootout is indicted by a grand jury. Morris Lanier is one of the men charged in connection with a shooting on 5th Street South this past March. No one was injured in the shooting, but a vehicle that had several people inside was hit. Lanier turned himself in to police nearly a week after the gunfire. His bond is now set at $200,000. Lanier's trial is scheduled for November 27th. Time to turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson for a first look at our forecast tonight. Keith.
It's a pretty nice afternoon out there, Andrea. A mostly sunny sky here in Columbus. We've had some fair weather clouds out there today, limited moisture. We were calling for a better chance for showers and storms than what we actually got. And you know what? Temperatures right now into the mid and upper 80s. So it's a pretty pleasant but warm evening. We will be cooling through the 80s into the 70s later on this evening. Lows tonight down into the mid 60s, mainly clear conditions. Your full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks a lot, Keith. Water is vital to life. It's also vital to economic development.
Earlier this month, Winona leaders held a special meeting regarding their water system. They're making plans now to expand the system and increase the water pressure.
WCBI's Parker King talks with some of those leaders and economic developers. He joins us in the studio with more.
It's something we see a bit of in our area for infrastructure development. Have a property with water service already established and businesses will come. Winona is just another example of this development. There's a reason Winona calls itself the crossroads of North Mississippi. The intersection of I-55 and Highway 82 is a frequent stop for travelers. And city leaders see this as a business opportunity.
What we did, we had a water analysis done of the whole city limits this past year. And with the result of that, we are wanting to enhance the services that we have for the people out at the 82-55 corridor.
While enhancing the water pressure for the city, the plan is also to expand the water system in that corridor, which is very appealing for businesses.
We know that if you do not have water and you do not have the proper water pressure, no one's going to build, no one's going to come, and that's the bottom line.
To increase the pressure, city leaders plan to either build an entirely new water tank or temporarily use the one that sits in their industrial park.
And hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll actually drill a well out in that area.
They believe this investment will pay dividends down the line.
It's also going to be for any future possibilities, whether it's housing, whether it's business or industry on the east side of the interstate, and even farther north and south along the interstate or Highway 82.
Already there is some interest from restaurants wanting to build in Winona.
Well, within the next couple of months, 6 months, that there'll be some activity out there.
Planners and leaders are excited to see what this means for the future of the city.
Whatever the improvements may be is always just a top of the mountain for us, because it just makes us look better. We are better, and that's what's important.
Winona leaders see the infrastructure improvements as benefiting not only the city but also the rest of Montgomery County.
Selena Schaefer here in Starkville. The discussion as to whether or not children should have smartphones has been a hot topic. It turns out there's actually apps to monitor their security as to what and when the child is using their phone. I'll have that story coming up.
Welcome back, everyone. New apps are being developed every day, but now more than ever, child safety and security are top priorities.
Multiple apps already exist for parents to monitor their child's usage of their phone. WCBI's Selena Schaefer speaks with an expert in app development on why and how these apps have become so popular.
She joins us now in the studio.
These devices right here are capable of more things than most of us even know about. And now they're playing the role of babysitter and watchdog for parents.
One of the key, features of a cell phone is the GPS that's included. And so now if my child has a cell phone, I basically can use that GPS to track exactly where they are at any time.
But that's not all. Thanks to software improvements, more and more apps are being developed with parents specifically in mind. There are apps that lock children's phones until they respond to calls or texts from their parents. There are even apps that disable a child's phone when they're driving.
All of these features, basically enable parents to, number one, keep track of their child, but then also ensure that all the benefits that cell phone provides are readily available in terms of me being able to contact them and then also monitor their activity.
Dr. Byron Williams is a professor at Mississippi State who specializes in app development. He says developers are in their prime right now.
It's a result of where we are just as a society and the amount of information that we share with public companies online.
He also says with children now having phones at younger ages, safety and security are key.
The same protections that are in place and thought about in terms of privacy and security for adult users definitely have to be in place for children to protect kids while they're surfing or just using a cell phone in general.
Byron says when his students build apps, they are taught to keep security a top priority.
we start with building security in mind and thinking about those layers of protection for the end users so that, you know, the apps can't be hacked, but then also so that as people use the applications, there are kind of protections in place. The sky is truly the limit in terms of cell phone hardware and software development.
Now, for a complete list on the top parental security apps to sync your child's phone, you can head on over to our website at WCBI.com.
For the weekend, we're looking at some mid to possibly upper 80s. Fairly nice, some low-end rain chances here, but we may see a better chance for some rain showers next week with the system down in the Gulf of Mexico. More on that coming up after the break. So nice to see you on this Wednesday afternoon. Our live Doppler radar shows nothing, absolutely quiet across our region. Let's zoom on into West Point. Why West Point? Well, I was out to Southside Elementary School earlier today, and I was speaking to the third grade class. All of the third graders, they were reading about the flooding down in Louisiana last year in August, and we recapped that event, talked a little bit about the eclipse. They asked a few questions. We, of course, had a great conversation, and the hospitality, as always, there at Southside Elementary School was absolutely amazing. Appreciate that. If you want me or any member of the weather team to come out to your school or your organization, go to our Emerson Animal Hospital sign-up form there on our website, WCBI.com. Fill it out, and we'll get an email, and we'll try to set something up. Today, we've had a cold front move on through, and north of the front, it has not been as active. The showers and storms really got going along and south of the front today, so we were calling for a better chance for rain up here today, but it really didn't work out. But I guess the end result is a pretty nice late afternoon and now early evening, so get out there after the newscast and make the most of it. You can see some of these friendly clouds basically coming in from the north and moving down to the south. We have low-level northerly breezes right now, and that will usher in some drier air as we go throughout the course of the night. Temperatures right now, mid and upper 80s. It is warm, but it is fairly dry. And check out Nashville right now, 79. And very dry air up there, and that is coming south. So it looks like our lows tonight will get down into the 60s. Some of you may get down into the mid to possibly low 60s in the far north, but mid to upper 60s farther south. Here's our Thursday planner, 72 at 8 o'clock. By noon, 83, upper 80s in the afternoon, winds from the northeast at 5 to 15 miles per hour. A warm day for us, a little bit below the average, but drier air overall. It's looking pretty nice. Now, here's Tropical Depression Harvey. It's trying to get a little bit more organized down here in the Gulf of Mexico, and it looks like all signs suggest that this thing will strengthen as it approaches Texas later this week. Maybe a strong tropical storm or a low-end hurricane. The end result will be some very heavy rain here in Texas this weekend. That system could actually be pulled back to the northeast around here by the middle of next week. So we are watching out for that. But in the near term, dry northeasterly winds for our Thursday and Friday. Great weather for high school football. There's Harvey right there Friday afternoon. And this is going to basically sit over Texas this weekend. But some suggestions with some models here may take some of that remnant moisture to the northeast as we get into next week. So our rain chances will go up next week. Our forecast confidence at this point after Sunday, pretty low here. So that's subject to change. But what we do know, it's going to be pretty nice Thursday, Friday, and not too bad for the weekend.
Coming up, we're talking SEC football at Ole Miss and Alabama, plus the preseason coaches, all SEC teams. That's next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Robbie Donahoe is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
A point of emphasis going into the 2017 season at Ole Miss has been defense. The Rebels ranked 111th in the country last season in total defense and 100th in scoring defense. So fixing the issues on that side of the ball, it's been a priority to say the least. And with new defensive coordinator Wesley McGriff leading the way, head coach Matt Luke wants his team to be on alert and adjust to the speed of the game, along with the youngsters adjusting as preparation began on Tuesday for South Alabama.
We started today and we had some South Alabama looks and starting to prepare for some of their looks. Still a little bit more speed of the game going good on good today for us, because I think that's important to keep sharp and keep speed of the game. But the closer we get to the game, the more and more we'll start transitioning into that.
The difference from last year and this year is that last year we just had a couple guys like who we always depended on to fill in roles like where they didn't belong. This year we have a whole lot of talent on the defense. You know, you got D.D. Boyd, you got Candaris, you got Miles, you got Jalen Jones. We just have a bunch of freshmen and a bunch of young guys who are very talented, and they're going to really contribute to what our scheme is in the defense, and I can't wait till the first game to see how they play.
To Tuscaloosa, the top-ranked Crimson Tide of Alabama continue preparation for Florida State as Jalen Hurts and his receivers get locked in and on the same page leading up to a tough matchup against that fast Seminoles defense. Hurts recently was seen taking his offensive line out to dinner over the weekend. Both Scarborough returned to practice on Tuesday following an illness, according to Nick Saban, while Josh Jacobs remains sidelined with a hamstring injury. Those Week 1 games to watch from our area SEC teams: MSU at 3 p.m. kick time against Charleston Southern. Ole Miss will be at 6:30 against South Alabama. 7 p.m. kick time between Alabama and Florida State on ABC. And then the nightcap for some of you MSU fans who finish up with Charleston Southern want to see what BYU will have. The Cougars will take on LSU at 8:30. The coaches came out with their preseason all-SEC teams today. The notables, well, Alabama had 15 between the first, second, and third teams. Jonah Williams, Ross Pierschbacher on the offensive line, along with Calvin Ridley, Jalen Hurts in that first-team offense. Darius Geis was first-team running back. First-team defense has Deshaun Hand, Deron Payne, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Ronnie Harrison of Alabama. Then Marquise Haynes got that first-team defensive line spot. On the second team, notable guys, Mississippi State had Nick Fitzgerald and Martinez Rankin, the lone two Bulldogs on the list. Ole Miss had 3 total. Gary Wunderlich and Greg Little were also on the second team in terms of either offense or in special teams.
Nice.
And coming up tonight at 10 here on WCBI Sports, our Student Athlete of the Week will profile Thunder and Lightning. No, not Rafael Palmeiro and Mr. Will Clark. It is Tamias Glass and Chris Smith. These guys have been blowing it up. And over the last year, you probably have heard us with that nickname. Well, they're going out this year on a high note in their senior seasons that they did pretty well for themselves last week against Hatley. Our Jonathan Flipper will have their story coming up tonight at 10 on WCBI Sports. Also want to mention there had been some, I don't know if I want to call it controversy, but some interesting talk on message boards about Mississippi State's football roster. When is it going to come out? When are we going to get a chance to see it?
Yeah.
Lo and behold, over the last few minutes, it is now online on Mississippi State's website. So you can all stop worrying and just calm down. The website is up. And
by the way,
roster
there's never any controversy online about anything.
Never.
Ever.
No. It's all cool.
Especially
calm,
about college football.
Sane people follow SEC football. Yeah.
Right.
I'm one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be right.
Gorgeous weather for Thursday and Friday. Still warm, but lower humidity. High school football this week is going to be amazing, so no problems there. Rain chances go up next week. It's all based on Harvey. We'll see what happens this weekend, but for the near term, we'll look at A-OK.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Every weekend through football season, the pressure is on. You have to have a perfect Friday and Saturday.
That is true. Right now, we're okay.
Yeah, you're batting 100. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great night.